Hello, hello, and welcome to Shatter Our Souls with Novaria. Now, today we're tackling the milestone events leading up to Blacklist number 1, Razor. I'm a little sentimental about this, to be honest, because I want for Razor to be challenging. And it is a year to the day since the first round of this was uploaded. So I'm a little sentimental. But be that as it may, here we are. The pseudo beginning of the end, the finale incarnate. And so today we're going to start off with the Tollbooth time trials. Not Tollbooth time trials, what are they called? The photo radar tickets. After tackling the photo radars, we'll get in a pursuit or 2 or 3 and see how things go. Overall, at this point, the only real threat is going to be Cross himself, aside from maybe Razor. And the reason behind that is about as simplistic as it gets. Because most opponents are now at a point where they don't necessarily know how to control their ride. And if you've listened to Toretto, it ain't about the ride, it's about the driver. So, knowing that, I think it's going to be pretty reasonable to be able to complete said challenge in the near-ish future. Let me know what you think. My guesstimation is about 1 more month at the current burn rate. And I'd love to say happy holidays to you, as that is roughly the time we're coming out with this video. Overall, I have said it a few times, and I'll say it again. I underestimated the Lexus. And when I say I underestimated the Lexus, I am saying it with the knowledge that it is significantly better than anything I could have asked for. It has absolutely obliterated every single expectation that I had without really too much of an issue at all. I thought that the base races would be challenging, and lo and behold, I'm beating or working on Blacklist number 1 and have done every single challenge in the game, pursuits, milestones, track records, you name it, with the same car. Or with the same type of car, I should say. So Lexus obviously is not impossible to do this with. The second major thing that caught me off guard initially is that this car, for all the flack I gave it for being a questionable vehicle initially, has proven time and time again that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And the Lexus, more or less, has shown every bit of the way that it is more than capable of deserving to be a street racing vehicle. Now, we're tackling the second half of the pursuit milestone, which in short form means I'm going to be running into a couple of walls here and taking out as many civilians as the way, because nothing says I'm a street racer like domestic terrorism. The goal is to keep the police on me as long as possible, because I want them to be able to challenge me. I want them to stay for a minimum of 13 minutes. And that's a little bit of a tough ask, unfortunately. These guys are not very, are not good at their job. And it's quite sad, because the police officer was so worried about me running into him that he ran into a wall. If you know anything about driving, you know that you run into something going the same direction as you before you run into something going or standing still. And you run into something that's still before you run into something going the opposite direction of you. So these guys just do not know how to drive, or perhaps do and were just taught by Grand Theft Auto. He he totaled his car by running it into a wall. Again. Oy vey. These guys are what? I just I'm trying to take it slow. I'm trying to be chill. I'm not trying to beat you guys up right now. Please stop throwing yourselves at this. It is not going to work. So, now that we're at a point where the finale is at hand, there are a couple things that I need to mention. First and foremost, the challenge itself is more or less going to be done shortly. And upon completion of this challenge, it will be, without much of a question, I will be swapping into some newer series temporarily so that I can get a little bit of a break from Need for Speed. That's not to say that I dislike the game, in fact, quite the opposite. But I've been playing it at least once a week for a solid year, and most people can only tend to play a game a couple times, let alone. So I can say without any degree of uncertainty that while I love and enjoy this game for what it is, it's time for a break from this particular franchise. We'll be picking it up at some point in the future, just not right away. Second bit of information comes in the form of what I believe will be Need for Speed's biggest challenge. And it is that over the next little bit, when I'm bored and have nothing better to do, I am going to go through and set some records with each car. The goal being to beat each sprint race with every car roughly 5 times. The goal being to find the true weakest and true strongest car there is. The reason I'm doing it this way is because I want to take a little bit of the luck out of it. Now, that's not to say that luck won't be involved, but the larger the sample size, the more luck will be required. And I figure that if I take the best out of 5 attempts, that's a pretty good indication. And that will, unfortunately, be affected by my personal growth as a player. But it's a curiosity's sake, something that I've wanted to do since I was a tyke. And I figure now's as good a time as any after having completed it with the Lexus. What do you think? Is it going to be worth doing? Do you think that it's going to be a ridiculous undertaking? Let me know below. In the meantime, we're about halfway to the goal, roughly speaking, of the timeline. We got 5 out of 13 minutes of driving. And these police just are not letting up, which is a good thing. Heat level 3 is a nice, what I'll call a starting heat. I know I've said throughout this challenge that heat level 1 and heat level 2 I have to babysit. That I challenge them as it goes on, but I really don't get much out of it. I play the game, I defeat a couple of enemies, and I more or less move on. And that's kind of the reality of what I'm working with, is just Heat 1 and 2 don't really know what they're doing half the time. Heat level 3, at this point in time, are smart enough to know how to challenge a racer. And at heat level 4, they start really pulling out all the stops, bringing out the heavy and light SUVs, spike strips, even the odd helicopter. They even, on incredibly rare occasions, bring out Cross. Now, I said slightly earlier that Cross was going to be one of the few things left in the game that can challenge it. And the reason being is because Cross, for all his strength, is more of a strategist. He has the best car, is the best driver, and has one of the best strategic mind when it comes to tackling street racers. He's a bounty hunter. He does this for a living and he is darn good at it. Because he is darn good at what he does, he doesn't his input is what is going to be the biggest challenge going forward, assuming that he shows up, which, I'll be honest, isn't exactly the most likely, but it would be nice. Okay, no, I am not getting stopped today. I'm just going to go through your friend on the other side. Thank you, bye-bye. So, overall, I think that's fine. And realistically speaking, I feel as though this finale of sorts is a nice segue into what's going on for the future of this particular challenge series. So in order to eliminate as much of the questionable driving as I can, I am first going to tackle or build each car in story mode. I want to build it in the story mode or the campaign because I will then have a perfect representation of what the car will be capable of. And then I'm going to slowly build it up from one stage to the next over the course of the game. So that I not only have the idea of which is the weakest stock car, but which is the strongest stock car, and which is the strongest fully equipped, and everything in between. It would be, it's all of curiosity's sake to me. I want to actually have the single best representation of what a car or what each vehicle in the game will actually be able to do. And it seems a little bit silly, but that's just who I am, and unfortunately, I can't really see any other way of doing it. So it will be a long-running background task, which I think is a good thing. It'll mean I have something to work on while I have videos rendering and whatnot in the future. Anywho, we're at 33 vehicles tagged out of the 35 I need, and we're running pretty close to the end game of this particular pursuit, which is rather saddening. I'd much enjoy if they brought out some of our friends in the near future. I think it's something a little faster than these little guys. I'm thinking something like a Corvette. Corvettes are nice, right? They're also worth a lot of money. Oh, would you look at that? Pursuit Heat 5. 10 Corvettes all in a row. Which one has to go? In all seriousness, I think this will be fine. But now that we're at Heat 5, I actually have to pay more attention and take this a tad bit more seriously, because they are far stronger than anything else in the game up to this point. And they're worth a lot of bounty, which is going to help build up our second milestone. And with only 2.5 minutes left until the fourth milestone is complete, I think we can make a sizable dent in that. We're down to 3. Oh, do a little trick, keep the day exciting. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Do not get stopped. Thank you. One thing I do notice with the Corvettes compared to other vehicles is that when hitting them at high speeds, there's a higher than average habit of them going sideways on me. Now, I attribute this flying around sideways upon hitting a Corvette primarily with how light the vehicles are and how easy it is for them to get underneath the fender just due to their size. As a result, it's kind of a 50-50 on whether or not the vehicle is going to go through and finish off what it's doing or go flying through the air like a rocket. Personally, I prefer flying through the air like a rocket because, you know, why not? It's one of the joys of being able to play a game instead of, being a domestic terrorist in real life. You kind of take the risk of breaking your own neck out of the equation. Um, and with that in mind as well, I'm thinking it's time to finish off this chase. Now we've got what looks to be 7 seconds until we get another batch of police vehicles behind us. So I'm thinking if we can get past the tunnels here, we'll probably be able to hit the baseball diamonds and take out two batches of them one after another. It'll also give me a chance to hit the college area, do the loop, and hopefully lose as many of the police vehicles as possible in the shortest span of time without necessarily having any major concerns as we go along. Anywho, turn one. I missed my target. Let's see if target number two. I missed my target. Don't worry, they hit it though. Pursuit time challenge is done. Pursuit bounty challenge is done. So all that's left is to get the heck out of Dodge. Yeah, the twist and turn wasn't actually going to help me there, so oh, helicopter. Joy. Definitely going to need to hit the loop-de-loop because we need that thing to run out of gas. It shouldn't be too bad. 12 vehicles left, 31 of them immobilized for the better part of forever. I can get behind that. All right, and now for the college loop. Now, the college loop is ironically one of the easiest locations in the game to mess around, partially because the police don't really know what to do with it. And while, yes, they make numerous roadblocks and spike strip blocks throughout, it is easy to outspeed your opponent even if you're running up against Corvettes and higher end police throughout. The reason is just because it's a difference of the AI versus a player controlled character. The AI is designed to be competitive with the player, but not necessarily outdo them. It's a little bit of a rubber band problem here. So, because of the rubber banding issue, it tends to just kind of melt into the background a lot of the time, which is a little disappointing, I'll admit. So the helicopter has backed off. We only have 4 Corvettes left in the challenge. So it's officially time to say goodbye. Now, if you like what you see, want to see the final Blacklist racer get taken down, drop a like, leave subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, I hope you have a good one. Haha, gotten away from the police. We're just gonna take a quick loop through a campground. I see that going very, very smoothly. Or maybe even a golf course? Personally, I don't see the point behind golf courses unless you're just looking for wide open spaces to mess with people. I like the wide open spaces to mess with people. Anywho, that's it for me. I hope you all have a good one.